Kol halalim la abanoa Yahweh Alahayanoa Bahashem Yahushai Bahashem Rakakadash Brakti Yahweh Brakti Yahushai Brakti Yahweh Brakti Yahushai Brakti Yahweh Brakti Yahushai Bahashem Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to the prophets of that body. All praise to Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai Bahashem Rakakadash. I've been thinking about these Romany gypsies for a while. Um, they usually live on the outskirts of every kind of neighborhood or society in the world. They're dispersed pretty much everywhere. Okay, not to mention the women, for the most part, are very attractive as well. They look like Northern Kingdom women. They look like Northern Indian women. They look like Spanish women. They look like Native Indian women. They look like so-called Hispanic women. And the fact that they're very musical. This is just me using my spiritual insight into it, right? They're very spiritual. And apparently they were banished from India 1,000 years ago, or a little more than that, 12 to 1300s. There's a lot of history on these people, right? I think a lot of them are Jake. They're called Romany Gypsies. Let me delete a couple of pages. Okay, Romany Gypsies. And, you know, Gypsies meaning like Egypt, So, they're probably, these are probably Jakes that either from the Egyptian captivity when we were in Hamite Egypt. When we left, we went to different parts of the world, or the Persian captivity as well, because they're from northern India, which is on the border of Persia, which is Iran today, which is where my forefathers are from. And a lot of North Indians, a bulk of them are in Bollywood movies as well. Hence the reason why most Bollywood actresses are quite attractive, because most of them are actually Jake. Because these Elamites know where to get the talent from. Hence the reason why Bollywood is so huge in Russia, where there's a lot of Jake women. A lot of Jake women marry East Indian men, assuming because they feel that they're looking for something, and they want to connect to the East, and they wear saris and they wear their nose rings, and they know that they're lacking something, and they want to connect to the East, even though they live in the East, which is Russia. So they marry a lot of Indian men. They're into Bollywood. A lot of Nigerians are into Bollywood stuff as well. So there's a lot of connections. But some of these stupid Russian women that could be Jake, marry Elamite women as well, Elamite men as well as Jake men. Elamite men, which is unfortunate, but most of them do marry Jake men for the most part. Which some of the videos I've seen, because I can discern. You can sometimes discern that. Oh yeah, that guy's Jake. That's Jake. Like you see some what looks like a Chinese person, and they're pop locking and break dancing and stuff. And you think, oh, that guy's a Jake, man. You know. Um, but yeah, this guy's called a nomadic Indian, and P.S. Fair use, fair use. This is just me. I'm not making no money out of this. I'm just pointing, just shining light on this truth. Nomadic Indian is an East Indian guy. He's traveling around the world, different parts of Europe, to point out who the Romany Gypsies are. And these Romany Gypsies in the 12 to 1300s, or just after, did go into slavery as well. They were owned by Romanian. What's that term here? One second. Romany Gypsies. From the 14th to the 19th centuries, Roma people in Romania endured enslavement as robe. They were owned by Romanian nobility, forced into labor, and subjected to inhumane conditions. The enslavement of the Roma community persisted for centuries, with many facing violence, discrimination, and severe restrictions on their freedom. And a lot of them have sort of intermarried with the Irish travelers as well. Irish gypsies are very very secluded, even though they look like crackers for the most part. But some of them kind of, you look at a lot of Irish gypsies, if you look at their faces, some of them look like kind of like Mike Tyson, but with pale flesh. I've seen some of them look, and they're real, what's the word? Gung ho, they don't give a shit like Jake does, but they have it like in a different format, meaning with the Irish accent, and they might listen to the Irish music or whatever, and they keep to themselves for the most part. They're ostracized. They basically, like one second, let me get that scripture. Clap their And it's a scripture, man. Da, 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 da. Oh, here we go. Lamentations 2:15. Right, the way um, people sort of ostracize them and make fun of them, and there is like, for example, like there's always racist or so-called stereotypes about so-called black people, so-called Hispanics, so-called Native Indians, so-called Italians, so-called Irish, so-called Gypsies. Why? Because most of them are Israelites. Yes, there's heathens among them. I'm not saying every single member of the group every single so-called group that I mentioned, right, is an Israelite, but there's bulk of them are, and there's heathens amongst them too, right? But I'm just saying they are ostracized. And when you always look at certain movies that Esau makes, especially these small hatters, they always put jokes in there about, um, usually about Israelites. You know, wops are this and greaseball, and spick is this and that. Spick women are only good for effing. Uh, you know, um, black people are only for shoe shine or whatever. Or the terms like boy, um, gypsies are a bunch of thieves. You know, which for the most part, listen, I hate to say it, with certain gypsies, because they're Jacob, they like to supplant and they like to, try and get their money a certain way, like a lot of these Nigerian scammers online. Most of them are Jake, I believe. They like to supplant. You got Elam doing the same shit too, but there's Jake amongst them too. But most of them are Elam though. But I'm just saying, Jake likes to supplant. But anyway, Lamentations 2:15. All that pass by clap their hands, and at thee they hiss and wag their head at the daughter of Jerusalem, saying, "Is this the city that men call the perfection of beauty, the joy of the whole earth?" You know, especially um, uh, Esau's, because of the curses. Now people clap their hands and they wag their head, especially the heathen, say, "Oh, look at these damn, look at these damn monkeys, look at these damn spicks, look at these damn tontos, look at these damn jippos, look at these damn pikeys." There's a term, like for Elam, you got paki, or Israelite foreigners, they get called paki too, right? But then for the Irish, they get called pikey, which is like a racist term for them, you know. So the only person that doesn't have any sort of like byword for them, right, is the so-called white man, right? And most bywords by used even by the heathen is always aimed at Israelites, whether you believe they're Israelites or not. But we see it through the spirit that they are Israelites for the most part, And even though heathens don't know that these are the people of the Lord, the so-called black man, the brothers in America, West Indies, Haiti, the UK, around the world, and all that, West Africa, East Africa, or whatever. Only the Israelites say, no, I'm not talking about the Hamites, all right, and the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and the Israelite foreigners. Even though these heathens might not know that they are Israelites, but they still clap their hands and wag their head, because in the ancient world they knew who we were, and then they would say, "Oh, these are meant to be Israelites," you know. But now, even though some of them know, some of them don't know, but they still wag their head because they believe we're not going to get our power back. You know. Uh, let's go to this. All right, let's see any. Let's read some of the history here. The Romani, also known as Roma, are an Indo-Aryan people, traditionally nomadic itinerants, living mostly in Europe as well as diaspora populations in the Americas. And there's a lot of Romani people there in America as well. Some of them can pass for white, but they usually look more Italian or Hispanic. The Romani women are gorgeous, man. I'm telling you, they have to be, because they're consistently very attractive. They're very attractive for the most part. Israelite women are very comely like that. Heathen women don't really have that. Like, you got fine Elamite women, but most of them are whack looking. And if you think that a so-called East Indian woman is fine, she more than likely has probably like an Edomite mother or something, or maybe some woman of another. She could be. I don't know, or she could be an Israelite foreigner though. Linguistic and genetic evidence suggests that the Romani, as people originate from northern Indian subcontinent, they are dispersed, but Most concentrated populations are located in Europe, especially Central, Eastern, and Southern Europe, including Turkey, Spain, and Southern France. The Romani arrived in Midwest Asia and Europe around 1007. Since the 19th century, some Romani have also migrated to the Americas. There are an estimated 1 million Roma in the United States and 800,000 in Brazil. Most of those ancestors emigrated in the 19th century from Eastern Europe. Brazil also includes a notable Romani community descended from people deported by the Portuguese Empire during the Portuguese Inquisition. In migrations since the late 19th century, Romani have also moved to other countries in South America and to Canada. Okay, Roman community descended, deported by the Portuguese Empire to the Portuguese, deported by the Portuguese Empire. So they've just been being thrown around, deported even by the Portuguese, even though they can pretty much blend in, but the curses still follow, because if you're like just high yellow or tanned or maybe quite pale, you can kind of, if you're a little lighter, where you got like that pinkish flesh, no tan, but you got the black hair and the dark eyes and that, you can pretty much blend in, but the curses still follow, you know. Let's get some images of these Romas, man. Roma, Roma, Roma. Let me delete that. The Romani people first arrived in Europe from North India through Iran, Armenia, and Turkey. In 1323, Simon Simonis, an Irish Franciscan friar, described people in likeness to the Astingani living in Crete. We also saw outside this city Candia, a tribe of people who worship according to the Greek rite and assert themselves to be the race of Cain. These people rarely or never stop in one place for more than 30 days, but always as if cursed by God, as if cursed by God, are nomad and outcast. Okay? All right? And that's Deuteronomy 28:64, right? There's another video I found, man, a really good one. It was a Romani Jake talking about chattel slavery as well. So, Lord willing, I can make another video on that as soon as I find it. This is such an extent. I'm just trying to sort of like give little snippets and little bites here and there of gold nuggets about information. But this is like an extensive vid, man. You need to make really going into the nitty gritty. Deuteronomy 28 verse 64. And the Lord Yahweh shall scatter thee among all people from the one end of the earth even unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. That's why they worship a lot of they do a lot of heathenistic customs. Actually, let's go into what we'll find out what gods they worship. Actually, let's go here, man. Look at that. Most hated Europeans. Europe's problem with the Roma. They're hated by everyone. The same way the so-called black man is hated wherever they go. It's the same way, people don't like Hispanics. You got Hispanic brothers and sisters that are Israelites for the most part living in their land, which is the Americas, which is native Indian land. They get called what? Bunch of thieves, murderers, killers, rapists, and this is their land. They're being told by the heathen, the so-called white man, who is a conqueror of every country in the world, right? But they get told by the so-called white man tells the indigenous people that you are illegal immigrants. You know, they get thrown around left, right, and center. You know, the women get used as sex toys by the damn heathen. You know, why? The way the so-called black woman does, the so-called Hispanic woman does, the so-called native Indian woman does, the Romani woman. Why? you know, because collectively they're attractive, you know, like you see them big busted German women and Irish women, that are walking around with Jake. You see them. Listen, some of them come Edomites. It's not that Edomite women are not attracted to us; they are. But when you see like through the spirit, when you look at certain women and they're with Jake, you say, oh yeah, she's just nothing but a so-called black woman, just in a different package. That's all, you know. The Romani, also referred to as Roma, Sinti, or Kale, depending on the subgroup, are an Indo-Aryan ethnic group. And by the way, Aryan or Aryan is a common name amongst East Indians and Iranians. All right, it has nothing to do with you Edomites. You Edomites, so-called white people. The Aryan people are a brown people. Okay, they're a brown people. All right, and Sham is a very big name for a boy child in India as well. Sham meaning Ham, Shem, and Japheth. Sham, because the East Indians do come out of the line of Shem, and so do the Israelites. So there's a lot of Jake in India, man, a lot, especially northern India. All right, the Romani may have migrated from what is the modern Indian state of Rajasthan, migrating to the northwest of Punjab region of the Indo-Indian subcontinent around 250 BC. All right. Now they keep focusing on India. They haven't just been in India just all the whole time. All right. They were moved from Egypt and other parts of the world during the different captivities, as well as the Persian captivity. They're not even touching on that. All right. The history of why people look a certain way. All right. They're just going to keep focusing on India, just trying to put them a label of East Indians on them. What you have to do is read in between the lines and be spiritual about it as well, because they're not even touching on the Persian captivity, the Egyptian captivity, you know, the captivities that were especially where we were dispersed everywhere. And obviously with the Persian captivity, which is right on the border of the northern Indian state of Punjab, obviously it makes sense that they would go in that area and be concentrated in that area and leave, uh, sort of like, several hundred years ago. You know, I'm not saying that they're all Israelites, but there's a good portion of these Romani gypsies are Israelites. Especially with the way they are. Uh, okay, what was it? As these soldiers were defeated, they were moved west with their families into the Byzantine Empire. And the Byzantine Empire was ruled by Jake. 1 minute. The Romani may have migrated from what is modern Indian state of Rajasthan, migrating to the northwest, the Punjab region of the Indian subcontinent around 250 BC. Their subsequent westward migration, possibly in waves, is now believed to have occurred beginning in about 500 AD. It has also been suggested that immigration from India may have taken place in the context of the raids by Mahmud of Ghazni. As these soldiers were defeated, they were moved west with their families into the Byzantine Empire. The Romani have been described by Diana Moyer Applebaum as unique among peoples because they have never identified themselves with a territory. They have no tradition of an ancient and distant homeland from which their ancestors migrated to. They don't know who the f they are, nor do they claim the right to national sovereignty in any of the lands where they reside. Rather, Romani identity is bound up with the ideal of freedom expressed in part in having no ties to a homeland. The absence of a written history has meant that the origin and early history of the Romani people was a long an enigma. Indian origin was suggested on linguistic grounds as early as the late 18th century. Yeah, they do, because I spoke to a couple of Romani people and they count, the numbers the way Northern Indians do as well. Um, See, Punjabi is a mixture of the language is a mixture of um, many languages, man. It's got a lot of Spanish in there as well. Like for example, a lot of Spanish jakes would say basura. Like that. That ninja's foul or whatever, or he's basura. You know, but Northern Indian jakes would say he's besura. You know, you call like what do you call it? The slippers. You call them chancletas, right? We'll call them chapelans or chapletas. You know, or chapelan. Is very sort of like a similar types of lingo as well. In the Roma language, Rom means husband, man, while Romani means wife and woman. Thus, Roma means husband's people. Roma means husband's people. And who's a husband? Yahweh Hashai. We're his bride, right? Some theories suggest that the ancestors of the Romani were part of the military in northern India. One modern theory states that the invasions of Mahmud of Ghazni defeated soldiers were moved west with their families into the Byzantine Empire. Okay, genetic evidence has identified Indian origin of the for the Roma people. Now, what the fuck is an Indian? You know how many nationalities or nations are in India? A South Indian is not the same as a North Indian. All right, a Bengali is not the same as a Tamil or a Punjabi. Not all the same people. We don't look the same. We don't act the same. We don't talk the same. We don't move the same. You got to read in between the lines. There's a lot of bullshit here too, but it makes sense to a certain degree. Let me get these terms that they use. Roma Sinti. What does Sinti mean? The Sinti are a subgroup of Romani people. Are found mostly in Germany, France, and Italy and Central Europe, numbering some 200,000 people. I've been to Germany. You got some fine looking women up there. They're very swarthy looking, dark hair, big bosomed. You know, yeah. And German women are just like ninja women, man. They're very sexual. You know, not that heathen women aren't, but you can tell the difference, man, between an Israelite foreigner woman and a heathen woman. These, German Israelite women, man, they'll look you straight in the eyes and shit, and you know, they'll be like, they'll be like the way Jake Man is, like you're looking at a woman up and down, you just want to like devour her, you know. They'll be looking at you like that if they're into you, You'll be looking at this bitch thinking, damn, she looks like a right devil, but she probably Jake. I mean, she could be needed, but I'm just saying, man, you can sometimes tell. The Sinti are a subgroup of Romani people. They are found mostly in Germany, France, and Italy and Central Europe, numbering some 200,000 people. They were traditionally itinerant, but today only a small percentage of Sinti remain unsettled. In earlier times, they were frequently lived on the outskirts. Outskirts of what? Where's that bit? Well, meaning outskirts. Yeah. Oh yeah. Here we are. They were traditionally what is it? What does this mean? The number of traditionally you know, itinerant or traveling groups in Europe. Okay, travelers. You know, gypsies. They keep to themselves. They stay within the community. They're ostracized by society. People don't want to associate with them. The way Jake is in the hood, the way you got the Vario for the Hispanic brothers and sisters. You got the what do you call them? The reservations or the res for the so-called native Indians. You got the traveler sites for the Irish gypsies. You got the traveler sites for the Romani. No matter what happens, they're always ostracized and used by society. The women are just used as sexual toys. Heathen men would try and woo them, especially the so-called white man, just to get them into bed. It's the same thing. It's just this is the way they're treated. You know. All right, enough of this. Let's get some images of what they look like. Uh, Look, see the long dresses and all that. There's some Roma there. These are many black and white Roma. For the Romani, survival is a matter of tradition. Share America. All right, this is the double. Either the Elam or the Jake. But me personally, I believe that a lot of them are Jake. I'm sure there's Elam and Esau among them. All right, but I believe a lot of them are Jake. You know, let's find out about their religious activities. And this is nothing yet, man. These girls are way more attractive than that. Way more attractive. You know, go here. Let's get this image here. One of those Iranian women. They don't. Oh, that's not us. That's, look, they got a Romani family here. Look, women got their heads covered and that. The long dresses, they're covered up. You know, man rocking the full beard. They're very musical people. They like to dance. They're very lively. That's Jake, man. Um, let's go into Romani uh, Gypsy religions. Let's see if they're very religious people. You know, you see, pictures of Caesar Borgia and crosses in somebody's house, and they look like a devil, or if they look like a person of another nation, they usually, that kind of. You won't see like crosses and pictures of so-called Jebus in a Edomite's house because they're not so-called religious like that. But you got a lot of Jake that are very religious, kissing the cross and crossing themselves, and the way Italians do, a lot of Irish do. Why? Because they have an inclination to the Most High, but they haven't got it in the right truth, right? Okay. Let's get that scripture, not according to knowledge. Let me read that, then we go into. Let's get it from here. Romans 10:2. For I bear them record that they have a zeal of the Most High, Yahweh Bashem Yashai, but not according to knowledge. Which means, they celebrate Christmas and they probably do all sorts of other nonsense as well. Got pictures of cracker Jebus on the wall, and they cross themselves and they're lighting incense to Edomite images of angels and stuff. Romani gypsy religious traditions. Some Roma groups are Catholic, Muslim, Pentecostal, Protestant, Anglican, or Baptist. The Roma live by a complex set of rules that govern things such as cleanliness, purity, respect, honor, and justice. Now, when is a so-called white man clean? All right, you seen Elam? They damn near put cow piss on themselves, right? These people don't have cow piss on themselves, you know. The Roma live by a complex set of rules that govern things such as cleanliness, purity, respect, honor, and justice. These rules refer to what as so. These rules are referred to as what is Romano. It sounds like Ray Romano, Italian surname. Romano. Romano means to behave with dignity and respect as a Roma person according to open society. You know. Let's see the image of this young lady here. Yeah, she ain't bad. Who are these though? And the Lord did say, "We are like the sands of the sea." It says there, Romani Gypsies are the largest ethnic minority group in Europe. That's Hosea 1:10. Now, where in society would Edomite women dress like that? They would be like just following the trends, right? You know, and these guys are hustlers. They'll be like doing all sorts of BS just to get money. They'll have money on them. They'll be driving the nice cars. The women will be always. There's nothing wrong with looking clean and looking nice, but the way the so-called black and Hispanic women sort of like overdress, even going to the gym, they'd be like that too. The ones that've got money, or the ones that are doing, if they're not trying to hustle, if they're not trying to beg, pretend to be begging or whatever outside a damn store, you know, they're pretending to be Muslim, putting a headscarf on, saying, "I need money, I need money." They do that here in the UK too, right? But they'll go back, they'll get changed and go back to their Mercedes, and that's Jacob in trying to supplant, you know. I mean, a lot of them, they bring this shit on themselves, but I guess sometimes with what they're used to and how they've been treated by society, they sometimes don't want to, and they want to keep the traditions to themselves. And They just follow a trend of how they've been hustling and making money. Because I get, when you try and do right and you can't get ahead, and they know that you're a gypsy, especially from what their forefathers have gone through, they're going to follow the hustle of, supplanting. A Romani gypsy wedding in Transylvania. And who ruled Transylvania? Israelites. Who was what's his name again? Vlad the Impaler. That was a so-called black man that loved to impale Edomites and have their heads on what's it calling them, sticks, you know, like a lollipop. You would think this was a Sicilian wedding, the way he's holding his daughter's hand. You know, they're a lively bunch of people. Let's get some images of them. What's this? Damn, go back there. Damn, she was. I want to go. Can't really get a bigger picture of this one. Oof. And look at her. You telling me that she's a heathen? Look at her. She looks like Jake, man. The long dresses. Yeah, she got it. Yeah. Let's go to. Let's go to a Romani Gypsy wedding. Let's see what their weddings are like. Look, dowry, Romani Gypsy wedding. They got a dowry too, and that's an Eastern custom. We have that in the culture that I grew up in. There's the subtitles on. Who does the same thing? Italians do that. In my culture, in the Punjabi culture I grew up in, we do that when a couple gets married. We put like money during the wedding ceremony. Every couple goes through the family lined up the way they do in Goodfellas, and we give money. All right. Romanis do that. Italians do that. Irish do that. But do Edomites do that? No. Does Elam do that? I don't know, because I've never gone to an Elamite wedding. I've gone to Israelite foreigner weddings. They do that. Elam probably do, but they don't do it to the extent uh, the Jake does it. You know, it's a dowry. Let's go here. Look, it go. Let's pause it. Pause it. Let's see what they're saying. Uh, the couple, money wise, goes into that bread, which is a gift from God. That is prosperity. All right. Now, heathens don't really mention God like that, and church weddings and things like that aren't done really done by heathens like that. They usually get like one of those rainbow bandits, wearing some kind of outfit, and just do talk some gibberish, holding a book, and get married at some Las Vegas chapel or something like that. You know, weddings when they go so all out are usually done by Jake. Edomites don't really go all out like that, unless they got unless they're the so-called elites. You know, you got to be spiritual, discern. Actually, master of ceremony. The family name said you got to acknowledge. Okay, so they're giving money to acknowledge each family. It's 500. God bless them. I'm just let's go to. I just want to see them dancing and see how lively they are. Wedding dance. Okay, let's go here. Gypsy weddings from Bulgaria. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Look how she's shaking it. Yeah, they got that Bulgarian music on. The rest of them are basic. The only one's really shaking it well is this one here. Yeah, this one. Yeah, this one's shaking it well. Yeah, that's Jake. You see a lot of Latinas do the same thing, shake their ass like that. I want to see some real. I want to see these people pop lock. What's this? This is probably a Russian gypsy wedding. Let me hear. Nice. You know, when you see them heavy, when you see them gold medallions and you see them thick gold watches and gold bracelets, that's a Jake trait. You know, the way the Italians and, so-called black man wears a lot of jewelry, Hispanic man, Israelite foreigners, a lot of Italians, gypsies, Irish gypsies. That's Jake, you know. Women wearing the big hair. Like you got a lot of the Russian mobster women wearing big hair, and the Russian mobsters wearing a lot of jewelry. That's Jake as well. You know, they have it like, what do you call it? Like hood lavish. That's Jake, you know. Yeah. Let me see if I can find anything else. What's this here? Let's see, Romani Gypsy wedding party. Let's see if I can find anything better. And let's go here. Let's see the Irish Gypsies. See the correlation. And with Irish weddings as well, with a lot of Eastern customs, the only men that dance with the women are basically the couples, right? Or couples, or father and brother and sister. Actually, not even brother and sister, or mother and son. The women dance separate. The men dance separate. All right, and even with our custom here as well, like in the weddings that I go to, yeah, men and women dance. Sometimes couples dance, but they don't really, you know, go show too much, affection where they start kissing each other on the mouth, at weddings and stuff like that. A lot of Irish don't do that. Romani gypsies don't do that, and the culture that I grew up in don't do that. And men and women usually dance separate. They dance with each other, or they can sometimes dance with each other. Like you dance with your sister or your mother. If your grandma wants to get down, you can do that. You can dance with a woman if you want to, but for the most part, men are just usually drinking up and having a ball. You know, can get a few drinks in them, and a track comes on and they just get down. But for the most part, they keep it separate, the same way travelers do. You'll be like a bunch of women dancing like that. Yeah. All right, enough of this. You understand what I'm trying to say, right? So Oh, gypsy wedding in Dublin. Dublin, Ireland. These are Irish. They're dark, quite dark. Well, some of that swarthy skin tone comes through, and it could be like a, you know, you have. I've seen some Irish people that are dark, man. The rest of the family is pale. Then you got some of them are dark. Because sometimes that skin tone just comes through. Might skip a few generations because you know where most Israelites descend from, man. Look at the women all wearing long dresses. Do you see any fucking mini skirts here? Even though you got a lot of Israelite women trying to modernize themselves and following Esau's bullshit. You see any fucking mini skirts there? You see the head wraps of the women, and they're in church. The Orthodox Christians, so called, according to this world. What does that let you know? That's Jake, and that's that scripture again, which I was reading. They don't have, they have a zeal for the Most High, but not according to knowledge. You know, that's Jake, man. And the Irish do that a lot as well. They try and do sort of work for you. They might take your money and not come back, or they might, they'll always try and get money out of you in the quickest way. Like for example, I even read an article about some Irish gypsies. What they did was they went to an old man's house, right? And they, I don't know, cut his hedge or something. He had like a huge hedge, because you can call it hedge trimmer, and they trimmed it for him without even getting his permission. And then they went to him, knocked on his door, saying that we trimmed your hedge. You owe us £300, which is about $400, I believe, $400 or $500. And they held him at ransom, saying that you got to pay us. Because they're probably scoping him out. He's old, and he said, "I didn't ask you to cut the hedge. You did." He goes, "You asked us last month." Confusing him, and I believe he had to pay up. You know, so even you sometimes you got to blame. You don't blame society hating because ninjas do stupid ish. You got a lot of Jake that do stupid shit too. But that's the curses. That we're in, where sometimes all avenues are lost, and you got to do what you got to do to make your money. It is effed up, but then Jacob's got that spirit of supplanting you. And I'm just giving you a little snippet there of what happened, but they do various things, man. Then they might do a construct. Some of them do an all right job, but for the most part, like my dad used them back in the '80s, and they were supposed to do a driveway or a pathway, and they did a shoddy job of it. You know, they did a real crappy job. They claimed to be builders or whatever, and me personally, I would never use an Irish person. I wouldn't even sell a car to them. You got to watch out for them motherfuckers, man. Especially travelers, especially when they got the accent. You know, very rarely you can meet one that's okay. It just goes to show that sort of it's like a lot of people back in the day would say, oh, like a lot of other races would never have a so-called black man as a window cleaner. Those why they'll say why? Oh, yeah, they're gonna end up breaking into the house because if the house has been broken into by a so-called black person, that stigma just sticks to you. I don't want no black person near me. You know, So once you've been done wrong, even though they could be your own people, Jake's, those are the curses, isn't it? Eyes shall be evil towards each other. You know, Deuteronomy 28:54. Plus the curses as well. Sometimes even though you got the complexion for the protection, but you don't get ahead in this world, so you can do stupid things. And plus it's Jake's spirit as well to try and get one over you. You know, Genesis 27:36, and he said, "Is it not he? Is not he rightly named Jacob? For he hath supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright, and behold, now he hath taken away my blessing. And he said, Hast thou not reserved a blessing for me?" Right? And through the Spirit, the blessing was always ours. But how did Jacob get the blessing? Right? You can read this, read the story, you know, between Jacob and Esau. Okay? And what does supplanted mean? That's what supplanted. Supersede and replace. Uh, let's go to Webster's. Let's go to Webster's. Supplant, replace, displace, supplant, supersede, mean to put out of a usual or proper place or in the place of another. Replace implies a filling of a place once occupied by something lost, destroyed, destroyed, or uproot, or eradicate, to take the place of and serve as a substitute for, especially by reason of superior excellence or power. You know, So like that's Jacob's spirit. They like to supplant. Basically, they like to, you know, even though the birthright is ours through the spirit, but that the Lord is just showing how what Jacob's spirit is like. Jacob tries to make money by hook or by crook, and that's a stigma that's attached to the gypsies. And unfortunately, for the most part, it's for the most part, in my experience, is true. you know, like the same way Elder Apostle Gabar would say, stay away from ninjas and ninjas are this, ninjas are that, and Elder Apostle Rakai Allah would say, I don't want to live around niggas, man. I want to live around. I'd rather live in an Edomite neighborhood. I don't have to lock my, I don't have to do this, I don't do that. It's a different environment. It's true because East, for the most part, even though Esau's kingdom's falling, but if you move to sort of like a well-to-do area where they do have one or two so-called, couple of brown families there, that are working and just doing their thing, and you don't have ninjas hanging on the corner, or you know, you don't have that, that hood shit. That's the kind of area you want to move into. All right, you see the head wraps, the braids, the long dresses. Some of them look like Gadite women, man. You know. All right, let's go into. Let's go here. Look at that. You got Edomite here cracking a whip, and these are Roma slaves with the chains around their ankles. Feature Roma and Gypsy slavery. From the earliest times, Roma gypsies have been victims of the slave trade, writes the Traveller's Times, regular blogger, writer, and Romany poet Ray Wills. When Roma gypsies first came to Europe, they were known as Egyptians because they probably left the Egyptian captivity due to their says or stories that claimed that they came from Little Egypt and were originally slaves of the Egyptian pharaohs. Though there are no records to prove or verify such accounts or otherwise, the the Bayamtas from Afghanistan, 855 AD, took up to 27,000 prisoners who were said to be skilled workers in all types of craft. And who's very skilled? Who built America? Who built the White House? Who created music? All the innovation, all the trade, the vehicles, the light bulb, everything, every intricate part. Who makes America? The Israelites, the so-called black, Hispanic, and Native Indian, but namely the so-called black man. All right, who were said to be skilled workers in all types of craft, with mares, wood, and engineering, performers, and fortune tellers. They used them as slaves to carry stolen treasures and spoils of war. At the start of the 11th century, King Mahmud of Ghazni used Roma slave warriors in his efforts to destroy all the Sindh and Punjab peoples in India. After a major battle in 1192 AD, all these slaves were freed with the majority beginning in long migration towards Asia, North Africa, Spain, and eventually into the European continent. Okay. During the Mongol invasion of Europe in 1241, Gypsy Roma slaves were captured and also taken as slaves by the Romanians. A document refers to Roma people in Wallachia in 1385 as Atigani or heretics. You got to understand as well, at that time, the Southern Kingdom were ruling, right? But if you had Israelites that looked like other nations that weren't following the law or they didn't know that they were Israelites for the most part, you know, you were sort of like known as a heathen, right? And especially looking different on the outside and not having no connection and having different types of names, you're not going to be known as an Israelite, you know. But we'll find out in the end. But this is just my spiritual insight into the Roma gypsies, travelers, could possibly be Israelites. I'm leaning to them, a good bulk of them being Jake, because we're Israelites in every nation, of course. We were scattered to every part of the world. And the way they've been treated, their customs, their culture, uh, the way they behave, and the way they're treated, and the bywords that are there for them. As the scriptures would say that the Israelites would have, like wetback, spick, nigger, pikey, which is for the Irish travelers. And I'm sure because these Romani gypsies are mainly brown people, there's probably like words that describe their skin tone as well. Roma slaves worked in the monasteries and mines alongside the Tatar and Ottoman prisoners of war, Romanian criminals and peasants. Others worked the rivers and out in the countryside with so many of the male population involved in war. The state was thankful to this influx of slave labor, which were forced for harvesting or the collection of minerals for their wars. In 1445, Vlad Dracul enslaved by force around 11,000 to 12,000 who looked like Egyptians or gypsies. But the real Vlad was an Israelite, though. You know? Okay. A Moldavian chronicle in 1471 stated that with Stephen defeated, Prince Radu sel Frumos at Sochi, he took with him into slavery 17,000 gypsies. No. The real Vlad, right, was a so called black man, right? Now, if he enslaved these people, right, so whether this is true or not, there's two sides to the coin, right? Either they're just dark skinned Edomites, or they're Elamites, right? Or they're Jake. Okay? I'm leaning to them, a good portion of them being Israelites. Because even at the time, if they were, let's just say they were Elam at the time or whatever, and they were taken, and you've seen how the women look, and I know for a fact Jake definitely ran up into a lot of them, and there were Jake babies everywhere, because we are everywhere. So whether I'm going to look into this, Vlad Dracul enslaved by force around 11 to 12,000 people who looked like Egyptians or gypsies. Now the Egyptians, ancient Egyptians, were Sudanese. They're all tall people. They're so-called black. All right, or gypsies. So what does a gypsy look like? The real Egyptians are so-called black. All right. They were so-called black. So, and then again in America, you did have Israelites, so-called Native Indians, enslaving or having so-called black slaves as well. So that did happen where sometimes you don't know that those are your people and they look different on the outside and you could enslave them. Obviously we got to take the meat from the bones, but through the spirit, I believe Romani travelers are Israelites, because listen, if they were heathens, they would get all the blessings. Everything would be going hunky dory for them. Everybody, the heathens have the ups and downs, but for the most part, things work out for them. You understand? You could be like a Joe six-pack cracker with a really good job, especially in the 70s and 80s, and have a woman at home and have two pickup trucks and have your what do you call that, racist Dukes of Hazard flag? I forgot what it's called. Um, hanging outside your door, big ass house. A couple of kids running around and everything just going hunky dory for you, going to the game when you want, no financial issues. You know, but these guys have gone through tribulation after tribulation. Whether they went into chattel slavery remains to be seen. But according to the image here, they got shit around their, they got chains on their ankles. All right, so you got a lot. There's indentured servitude. There's also chattel slavery, and actually, you know what? Let's see if we were Roma Gypsy chattel slavery. Let's see what comes up. Chattel slavery of the Roma people, often referred to as gypsies, was significant and dark part of history in the territories of present-day Romania. Okay, so what happened to them? All right, let's get some images here. One second, let's go to this one. Read this. Was a dark part of history in the territories of present-day Romania. The system of the enslavement began in the 13th and 14th centuries, persisted until the mid-19th century. The Roma were enslaved by three main groups: the crown, later the state, the Orthodox Church, and the nobility. They were forced into various roles, including blacksmiths, goldsmiths, agricultural workers, domestic servants. The conditions were harsh, with many subjected to severe physical and sexual abuse. All right? Because they probably look different on the outside. They don't look so-called black. They were just a dark-skinned, swarthy-looking people with straight hair. They probably went through different tribulations, you know. But slavery was there, you know. Like the way you had like blacksmiths in America at that time, but then you had some Jakes were in the field, some were house slaves. You had comfort girls, you know. But for the most part, Jake went into chattel slavery, and I'm sure these lot had chains around their ankles too, you know. But the fact of the matter is, they've gone through tribulation the way Jake has. All right. So the Roma were enslaved by three main groups: the crown, right, so-called the crown ruling at the time, the Orthodox Church, and the nobility. They were forced into various roles, including blacksmiths, goldsmiths, agricultural workers, and domestic servants. See, 13th to 14th centuries, Jake was still ruling at the time, but his power was slowly dwindling. You understand? Hence the reason why King James got the Bible translated even further. And that's the Bible that we use today to read and is used predominantly by the men of the Lord, the men of Great Millstone. Okay, because even King James knew that, uh, our fall was going to come and our final captivity was going to begin through the Spirit. And the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yashah put the Spirit on him to get the Bible translated further and intricately put in its right order through the Spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yashai, to be used by the men of the Lord many hundreds of years later. All right. Especially after the 350-year wake up, which was bulk of it 1969 onwards. And obviously prior to that, Abba Bivens was doing his thing prior to that, you know. The abolition of Roma slavery occurred in stages, with Wallachia freeing its state-owned slaves in 1843 and both principalities of Wallachia and Moldavia abolishing slavery entirely by 1856. Despite the emancipation, the Roma received no reparations. Okay, now, if they were people like these small hatters or these chinks or gooks or whatever, didn't, listen, other nations get reparations, right? The so-called black man is still fighting for reparations today. All right, you got crackers still in America. What's little land the so-called native Indian has, right? The reservation. You got crackers still trying to take that away from them because they so-called struck oil or found some kind of mineral there. Despite the emancipation, the Roma received no reparations, and the legacy of this period continues to affect Roma communities today. There you go. And look at the images they show. 500 years of Romany slavery. I'll make a video of this separately. All right. Let me go to Deuteronomy 28, verse 64 to read that scripture. Actually, two more scriptures, yeah? Deuteronomy 28, verse 64. And the Lord Yahweh shall scatter thee among all people from the one end of the earth even unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods which neither nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. Actually, I've read that, but had to read it again. The scattering and the fact that we're everywhere. And they're in the churches, they're in the mosques. I haven't really seen Romani in the mosques like that, but I'm sure some of them have converted to Islam. The ones that sort of live in, because the Romani have traveled everywhere, and they've sort of settled and kept to themselves. The same way you got Chinese, Muslims in China, which is true. You got probably like uh, Romani living in Turkey or Iran or whatever that probably converted to Islam just to sort of like appease the Muslims at the time there, so they don't get like ostracized even further. Because the Muslims, man, because if you're not one of them, they're gonna call you a kafir, which means unbeliever, and then they'll treat your women even with further disrespect than they're already doing. You know, because you know how what Muslims are like. If you're a non-Muslim woman, you're fair game to be groped and graped. That's how they roll. Um, Deuteronomy 28, verse 45. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee and shall pursue thee and overtake thee till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord. Unto the Lord. Where is it? Okay, here we go. Deuteronomy 28 and 15. But it shall come to pass, even thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy power, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Okay? Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field. Cursed shall thou be thy basket and thy store. Cursed shall be the fruit of the body and the fruit of thy land, the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep. Cursed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and cursed shalt thou be when thou goest out. Everything's lining up so far. I'm gonna do Deuteronomy 28:45, man. Let's go here. Deuteronomy 28:45. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee and shall pursue thee and overtake thee till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy power, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee. You know? Let's go here, man. Let's click on this. See this. I want to see these mofos dance. See what they dance like. Any images of nothing here. Okay. Roma Gypsies want British benefits. Anyway, I'm gonna leave it there. Well, my spiritual insight is that I believe Roma Gypsies, a good portion of them are Jake. I know we are everywhere, but I think a good portion of them are Jake because it's all lining up. They got that spiritual aspect, all right? They believe in the Most High, but not according to knowledge. They got that supplanting, they like to supplant people, which a lot of Jakes do, even to this day. Even the groups that are identified the most as Israelites, of course, the so called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian men, which are Israelites for the most part, the bulk of them being in Ground Zero America, along with a lot of Southern Italians, and Irish travelers, and then you got the Roma travelers, and a lot of them are known by bywords and curse words. You know, nobody talks pleasantly about these people that I've mentioned. You know, um, same way with the Israelites. My family, people that apart from northern India, they that portion they're the Northern Indians. I hate the word Indian though, but right, there's a bywords for us as well. By Elam, and they make fun of us. Elam makes fun of us, and Elam is pumping drugs heavy into North India, heavy and making music and movies, focusing on a lot of the people that are from the Sikh religion. All right, the guys that wear the mitris and have the long beards and long hair and all that. A lot of them are Israelites because they're the best warriors and best fighters. They don't all wear turbans. The Orthodox ones wear turbans, and then you got the ones who cut their hair and shave and stuff. They're the unorthodox Sikhs. Okay, a lot of them are in America. A lot of them have, you know, but basically we're hated by Elam. A lot of the neighborhoods and hoods or villages up there, they're pumping crack and heroin in there like anything. All right, and when it comes to war in India, they always use the northern Indians, the Sikhs especially, as um, as at the forefront uh, to delete us because they know the history deep down. That's why Indira Gandhi in 1984 got the Golden Temple stormed. There's a lot of big history to that because me being an Israelite foreigner, I can understand the curses and how things sort of correlate and link up. But anyway, back to the fact of the matter. Yeah, I believe a lot of these are Jake. Yeah, yes, they do foul activities. The way all our people are doing foul activities. So-called Black, Hispanic, Native Indian, Italians. You got the mob and all that shit. You got the Israelite foreigners that do the same shit. It's part of the curses. Going through what we go through. Like Jake sells out, become a rapper or a movie star, or whatever. All right. Um, yeah, they sell out to do what they've got to do. The same way a lot of these fools do effed up things to make money. But that's the Jacob's spirit of supplanting anyway. All right. Anyway, all praise to Yahweh Shem Shai Bashem Shalom.